Welcome, everyone. Thanks for attending for this Wednesday edition of our wellness series. And so the topic for today is physically distancing. So under kind of these unexpected events and times today of some of the terminology that's kind of gone around has been social distancing, but as social being, social connection is important. So kind of the latter term has become physical distancing. And so kind of the title for today is a bit of a play on that of staying active under physical distancing, finding ways of staying active, either building new workouts or just continuing them, finding ways of doing them with friends. So I'll move to the overview of today. So I'll provide a bit of an introduction of myself, my background as it relates to mental health and fitness. Also talking about health, what is health? How do we define health? What are the different pieces of it? And then zooming into physical health. So talking about, what are some aspects that make up physical health? What are the pieces that can impact it? And then talking a bit about exercise, how it improves physical health. What are some barriers of exercising? What are some of the things that can kind of get in the way or make it difficult to beginning or continuing an exercise routine? And then into building motivation. So talking of some strategies to improve interest in being physically active, finding ways to improve it. And then some tips about building an exercise routine. What are some strategies under this time of learning more about exercising? So we'll talk through some resources and doing it in a way which promotes social connectedness. So what are some tips around exercising with friends, connecting with others, online communities? And then we'll have that time for questions. So I'll answer any questions, put them into the chat window. And then that time will also be a transition to the workout for today. And it'll have a brief warm-up, about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll move into what's called a HIIT, or a high-intensity interval training workout. Sometimes that's called Tabata, so that's the reason for that slash in the other time there. So if you like this type of workout, recommend looking up both of those to find more like this type. And then we'll move into a brief stretch. And so the workout for today will also have some modifications. So there'll be some moving around, but if you find it difficult to stand for about a period of 20 minutes, I recommend bringing a chair. And then in the case of doing it from a chair, also having like any type of weight bearing item. So I'll demonstrate with a textbook for the modifications, but even if you just have like a container, something like that, or if standing for 20 minutes isn't of difficulty, then those will all be body weight exercises. So moving into who am I, why I'm so passionate about this topic area today is I'm a clinical extern working at CAPS. So I'm working there for the academic year, helping students with mental health concerns, helping them over the course of the year individually, some workshops, things like that. I'm also working on a doctorate in psychology. So that's at Springfield College in Massachusetts. So this is part of my training. I'm working to become a psychologist. And so I also consider myself kind of a lifelong exerciser, and my academic journey has been into the connections of the mind and body and how exercise and sport can help improve mental health. And then also looking at using mental health to improve sport, continuing exercise routines, things like that. And so in those roles, I've had a number of experiences working with athletes and exercisers from like the amateur up to the Olympic national levels and kind of various different aspects and helping them on their fitness journeys. And then I also, over the time, wanted kind of a different lens. So I decided to become a certified personal trainer as well as a certified group fitness instructor. So helping individuals create a fitness routine, helping them on their fitness journeys to reach whatever their exercise goals may be. So ultimately, I'd like to become a sports psychologist after finishing my program, and then also exercise psychology as well, and helping all individuals, whether athletes or not, utilize the mind-body connection in a way which helps improve mental as well as physical health. So I want to kind of root the discussion today in sort of one aspect which within the fitness industry has been kind of a negative aspect of this idea of ableism. So ableism is a set of beliefs or practices that devalue and discriminate against people with physical, intellectual, or psychiatric disabilities, and often rests on the assumption that disabled people need to be fixed in one form or another. So within that, I'm going to try over the course of the discussion today of making sure all of the information can be applicable to individuals no matter of their physical abilities, as well as any different aspects related to that. And then also kind of related to just disability health as well, of making sure I'm providing those modifications. That being said, also staying within my scope of practice, that I am a personal trainer. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm also not a physical therapist. So kind of the recommendations today can't be said to either treat medical conditions, and the recommendation I'll get a few slides down the line of the physical activity questionnaire of looking over these questions before beginning a new exercise routine, of making sure having the best information related to individual care and moving into that from there. So I'll kind of just begin the discussion on health. So, what is health? How do we define health? And typically when we think of health, we think of it as the absence of disease. So we'll often use in language that, oh, I'm feeling pretty healthy, or I'm feeling healthier now after coming down with a sickness or an illness. But health is more than that. Health can also be equated with wellness. And so this picture on the left is one model of health and wellness, of the different components. So yes, the one we'll kind of spend more time talking about is the physical. So thinking about the body, thinking about cells, organs, different parts of our movement, aerobic capacity, ability to do exercise, physical activity, also the mental side as well. So when we think of mental health, especially in CAPS, thinking about thoughts, emotions, and then the behaviors that come out of that. And then as well within this model, it mentions the spiritual. So that's not necessarily religion, it could be, but just connections to either community up around you. And then moving, the third one is social. So I mentioned kind of at the beginning, we are social beings. Even if one defines himself as more introverted versus extroverted, social connection is very important in terms of just overall health, the benefits of being social, and just can create a sense of connectedness, which can also benefit the mental health side. Connection can help us feel better, and then all of these are connected as each of those interlay into the other as well. For example, if we're sick, if we have a cold, it's more difficult to be connected, see others around, the others as well. So zooming into physical health, so there's a lot of different factors that can influence it, and can ties in some ways to some of what was mentioned on the last one, but also moving into injury and illness. And so injury, the way I'm using it in this context, is more just kind of shorter term injury, maybe hurting our foot, so not able to go for a walk, or hurting an arm and not being able to exercise. But that being said, in instances of disability or chronic conditions, that doesn't necessarily remove someone from that. The example I'll share is my brother was born with kidney disease, had a kidney transplant, so we wouldn't consider him not to be healthy. He's very healthy, active, but just making sure I'm contextualizing it with that example as well. And then stress. So stress impacts our body. We think about when we're stressed, we have kind of worried thoughts. Our heart rate might increase a little bit. And that over time, one of those, which is called cortisol, which is a hormone in our body. It's connected to that fight or flight. And so that can make us more susceptible to illness and can impact our abilities to get workouts and things like that. Nutrition is another example that eating nutrient-dense whole foods improves the different aspects of our cells, our bodies as well. And I'm just going to briefly mention as well, within the fitness industry, there's a lot of diet culture, but that's, I don't, and many others do not operate from a diet or a deficit perspective. Making sure nutrition and eating as well is something you enjoy, is part of your life rather than something that you're withholding, and that within eating is, something that you enjoy, you like, and combining that with different foods that are good as well. Alcohol and substances, so things we consume also can impact our health, especially alcohol, drinking too much. Hangovers over time can also impact brain functioning. And then environment as well. So related to environment, I'm broadly defining that as anything outside of ourselves. So that can be the space. So during this time of physical distancing, the space you're in, maybe it's an apartment, might impact the ability to do workouts, or also the space outside of you. So in terms of streets, things like that, if you have access to nature trails. So that's an interesting one as well, is that there's some research to suggest that exercising in green spaces, so one where there's nature, trees, or grass, has improved physical health benefits when compared to other settings. Also inherited, so our genetics can also impact us as well. Thinking about what inherited we get from our parents, and that can impact our susceptibility to certain chronic conditions as well. And then highlighting again that connection of the mental and social health, about connectedness to others. Positive mood can also improve our health. So talking about, exercise and the physical benefits of exercise, there's quite a few of them. The first we commonly think of is, the improvements to our muscles. So that'll be our ability to carry more weight, hold more when we're exercising. Also our bones. So our bones are living tissue, and doing weight-bearing exercises or just body weight exercises helps improve our bone strength. So in cases of falls, injury, that reduces our susceptibility of breaking bones. Also the sleep-wake cycle, so sometimes that's called the circadian rhythm. So that also can be benefited from exercise. And so highlighting also making sure one doesn't exercise too close to bed. That may impact one's ability to fall asleep at that time. So I recommend kind of a couple hours, yourself best what works, but that also helps us sleep better. So we're more able to fall asleep quickly, as well as our sleep being more restorative. So we'll enter a deeper sleep. And so when we wake up in the mornings, we'll feel more rested. And then also exercising as well gives us that more alertness. So when we wake up in the mornings, we won't be feeling as tired, and throughout our day, we'll feel a higher sense of energy. Next is our appetite and digestion can also be impacted by exercising and physical activity. And so it's a bit of a nuanced one. Higher levels of exercise may temporarily suppress some appetite, but in terms of after that sort of window goes away, is that it can improve our appetite. So in terms of if individuals have difficulties with appetite, that's one benefit of having an exercise routine, can improve biological processes with that, as well as digestion. So having our body break down our food, have our food enter into our bodies and be utilized more quickly. Also, our immune system can be benefited. And so I'll mention just one component of that is our white blood cells. And so within our white blood cells, it kind of helps fight bacteria, fights off infections. So having an exercise routine can help improve those aspects as well. And it's kind of similar, but the next is reducing the risk of chronic diseases. So that ties on the last slide. I mentioned some chronic diseases are inherited, so it can be aspects of our genetics. And just within the past 2 to 5 years, a lot of research has come out on the benefits of exercise and genetics. So I'll just mention on our DNA, that kind of helix on the end of it, it's kind of like the end of a shoelace. So on the end of our shoelaces, it has that plastic bit and it protects your shoelace from fraying. And then in terms of our DNA, ours is also like that. And exercise helps the end of that. And that helps reduce the risk of genetic abnormalities, as well as stress reduction. So some of the biological changes from exercises helped improve that as well in terms of reducing our levels of cortisol, helping us to feel better. And then mental health benefits. So these are connected as well, with the mental and emotional. So exercise improves our mood. So one biological process we think of when exercising is that idea of the runner's high. And what they found is within our brain is that it produces what are called endocannabinoids. So they're released when we exercise and they create elevations in mood, help us feel happier, more alert. And that process, as well as some other ones, help also to reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, making us feel happier. We don't feel as sad, as well as reducing anxiety. So those endocannabinoids reduce our worries, both on a physiological level, can help in reducing heart rate, as well as the impact of that on the mental of reducing some of our worried thoughts, as well as benefits on the cognitive side. So cognitive, one part of that is concentration. So that helps us to sustain our attention. That can be really helpful in academics, to be able to kind of hold our concentration longer in classes, as well as learning. So it makes it easier to learn new complex or abstract concepts, as well as memory. So after exercise, one's memory is improved by the different changes, and that includes both short-term, so needing to hold things in memory for very short bursts. Maybe that's kind of an exam the next day, as well as longer term. So, holding on to information for periods down the line, a course of months. And also socially, so a sense of connectedness to others, that when we socially connect, one aspect of that is a release of what's called oxytocin. So that's a chemical which is released when connected, and that helps us feel more relaxed. And positive feelings to self is that when we feel connected to others, we feel more positive about ourselves. We feel positive that we impact others in a positive way, and also that sense of appreciation of ourselves. And so on this slide, I'm also going to highlight first the difference between physical activity, exercise. First, physical activity is any type of movement during the day. So that includes, during the semester when we're on campus, physical activity would be walking to class or walking around campus. Whereas exercise is a deliberate physical movement, which is done for either physical, mental health benefits, or improvements in aspects of health. And so whenever one considers beginning a new exercise or major changes within physical activity, it's recommended answering these questions. So whenever I train someone new at a gym, these are the questions I'll go through with them. And so I'll briefly give a few seconds to read over those. And if you do answer yes to any of these questions, I do ask that you do not participate in the workout later in the session today. But you certainly may view it, pull some tips from it. This is just in sense of safety, as well as helping avoid any injuries. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So when one exercises or begins exercising, there can be challenges in getting motivated. I think that's kind of the most common I hear from individuals that I work with is I'm not motivated, and that can on its own be the challenge with it. Oftentimes there is something underneath the top level of motivation of what prevents one from wanting to enjoying it, things like that. So first one I'll mention is, I don't know how, I haven't exercised, so I don't know what to do. How do I create a workout? So my hope is over kind of the next few slides is I'll be able to not necessarily answer every question, but at least give some ideas to go about answering that. The next is I haven't done it in so long. Maybe it's been a few years. Often working with college age populations in personal training of, I haven't done anything since gym in high school. So, I don't know even creating that routine. So, it can take some time. So keeping that in mind as well, and just small steps with it. Or too tired. And so too tired, we can think of that in a binary way, but thinking of it, it's a spectrum. So, if one's feeling exhausted, maybe a rest day is important then. But if it's just a little tired, it might be helpful to get a workout in, might produce the positive benefits in alertness. I recommend, find what works for you. One which could work is the 5-minute rule for myself. So if I'm feeling a little tired, feeling on the fence, I'll go exercise for 5 minutes. At that point, if I'm still feeling tired, I'll stop. But oftentimes I feel better, I'll finish my workout. It's horrible. That definitely exercise can have negative connotations of past experiences, or feeling out of breath can be hard at the beginning. So I'll offer some tips on the next slide of reducing that, hopefully in some ways. Next is lack of time. We've all, I'm sure, live very busy lives, so it can be difficult to find ways of working work routines into your week. So I'll talk later on about just starting small with it. The next is body image or dissatisfaction about one's body image, maybe being concerned about how one looks in workout clothes or how one might be judged outside. And within that, I want to talk just briefly about the unhealthy societal messages we're exposed to, both in terms of marketing, in terms of movies, things like that can produce really unhealthy messages about how one's body should be. And a healthy body is a range. It's not these images we're exposed to. So making sure that also thinking about our bodies functionally. These messages can make us think about our bodies as just being gazed at, something viewed, but thinking about our bodies functional and being appreciative of our bodies and the ways it helps us create movement. And this also has been increased the past few years due to social media, certain accounts. So recommendation there as well about, if you're finding social media might be there, maybe reducing your social media use as well. So talking about ways of building motivation, I think the most important is trying to make it fun in some ways. And kind of that ties to that next one about, I call it choosing your adventure, but really choosing workouts which you enjoy. Maybe if there have been some in the past you found that have been fun. And then different aspects with that as well about maybe choosing the location with it. So maybe exercise isn't as enjoyable, but maybe there's a park you enjoy going to. So maybe spending time there and creating a workout there might be more helpful that way. It could also be creating variety, having a different number of exercises, workouts that you enjoy. Also focusing on growth, that it's a journey with fitness and exercise. So kind of being patient, kind to oneself, about starting small and having incremental steps over time and building those habits with it. Next is social as well. So finding ways of connecting with others, maybe doing workouts with others, I'll mention on the later slide. And then also values as well. So thinking, how does exercise, physical activity connect with my values? How would I like to be? And how does exercise connect with them, about the type of person I would be related to exercising. So again, under the times we are now, physical activity outside might be more limited in terms of accessibility, things like that. So, my recommendations first, because things are shifting, making sure looking into any local, state, or federal guidance. So within that as well, the most recent from the CDC is keeping 6 feet of distance, and also avoiding crowded areas. The CDC guidance has been to wear a face covering in public, especially if you're going into crowded areas, making sure stores as well. In the Runner's World article, Rachel Devine, who's a medical doctor, also serves on some public health boards in Pennsylvania, states that if you're exercising somewhere where you won't see anyone else, there's no benefit to wearing a mask. So she was saying if there's a quiet place where you're way away from people, it's okay then to not wear one. So sometimes that could be a trail, things like that. I will also mention as well, related to that though, as it is spring, more people are outside. If there's a trail you've typically gone to in the past where it's been empty, there may be more people there. So keeping that in mind as well. And if you're either driving to a trail or going somewhere like a trail if you're noticing there's a lot of cars there, it might be in your best interest to find an alternative location to work out. Also, if there's any public equipment out in certain areas, like sort of a jungle gym, things like that, of avoiding making contact with those places. Also, when inside now, of washing hands, surfaces, as well as any things you've touched since being outside. So maybe that was your cell phone and keys. And then exercising inside, there's a ton of different options now. Ones I've been using as well as in the past are a ton of YouTube channels can be really helpful. YouTube channels, I will just segment into both exercise workouts, so that can be a number of different ones. So yoga, there's a ton of different ones with yoga. Yoga by Adrian is one. HIIT, so the workout I'll do today, there's a group, it's called Group HIIT. That's another one I've enjoyed. There's also ones related to wheelchair fitness as well. Adapt to Perform is a really good resource as well. And then just looking into what you're interested in, whether that's a dance type workout like a Zumba, cultural related exercise ones as well. And then the other segment of that are kind of the technical ones. So if you're wanting to learn a new exercise itself and kind of the form of it, so a lot of ones as well. Or in terms of developing a routine, a lot of different experts covering different topics. And then during this time as well, there's been changes in apps. So the two I'll highlight here, because they've made changes under physical distancing. So the Peloton, we often think of the exercise bikes, but it's much more than that. They have a ton of workouts like strength training, boot camp, and other fitness ones. They've made their premium section free for a period of time as well. So you'll have access to all of those. And they also include live classes. The Nike Training Club as well, they've made their premium section free, and that has a ton of resources as well. In addition of just different articles, if you're wanting to learn more about physically exercising. And then the next are, body weight exercises. So when I mentioned body weight exercise, it's any exercise you're doing without any sort of weight, like that could be like squats, things like that. You can get an awesome workout without that. But if you have done strength training in the past, have used weights, but now don't have access to them, there's a ton of different things you can use with household items. So, if you have a suitcase, the modification also for the workout, if you choose to sit with it, is with a textbook. So recommend during this time, just getting creative. If you have things around your apartment that you can utilize to get a really good workout in that. So even though we might not have access to our friends or significant others in the same way, we can definitely still connect socially with them. So a ton of different ways, to do that. So one could be, just calling them while working out, iPhoning them, videoing them in. So maybe if you're going for a walk, having that as a time to call, catch up with friends as well. Could be a Zoom session. So maybe create a Zoom session, trade off a couple of different weeks. Maybe 1 week you lead the exercise, come up with one, and then switch to friends afterwards. And the next way is, create an accountability buddy with your friends. So the apps that I mentioned, there's other ones as well. You can add your friends on there. You can see the workouts they're doing, and just being a way to check in with one another with what we're doing. Also, online communities. So Wesleyan has a number of Zoom workouts, which can be found on the Freeman page. So those include like a Zumba, a Total Fitness. So Zumba being like a Latin type dance. It's a really good movement workout. Total Fitness, really a workout that'll cover all aspects of your body. Boot camp. So boot camps are like a circuit type workout. So you're doing a number of different activities, as well as yoga. So getting some flexibility into, and then Tai Chi. So Tai Chi being a form of martial art. I like the description of it, which it calls it meditation with motion. So it's one which has a mind-body component, which can help reduce stress as well in kind of a relaxed way. A lot of different places now are doing Facebook and Instagram Live. So both Planet Fitness as well as YMCA are doing a number of live workouts at times each day. And a different number of those led by experts, which can cover different content. Also, a number of fitness professionals with gyms closed are doing workouts either on their local gym page or their personal pages of offering different types of workouts. So I recommend just checking with your local gym on any of their social media pages of just seeing what their offerings are. That'll have time and information there. Then the next is, creating a routine. What should my workout look like during the week, things like that. So I mentioned just, start small. So think about, what feels realistic to me. And, maybe that's 1 day a week. So a great way to help overcome some motivation barriers is just planning. So, creating that time, writing that into your schedule of, I'm going to work out, for example, Wednesday afternoon for 30 minutes and, see how that feels, and then make adjustments to that if that seems too easy, or when you do it that feels too easy, add a couple extra days in, whatever works best for you and your schedule. The best routine is the one that feels you can do consistently. So creating that around the other aspects of your schedule. Also, another important point is just alternating difficult and easy days of, with our bodies. If we do really difficult workouts, we might feel sore the next day, and that's a time for our bodies to rest and recover. So making sure we're having time to rest and feel better so that we can continue the workouts. That if we feel burned out, it'll lower our motivation and we'll be more likely to both either get injured or drop out. And then also stretching. I always say stretch, that, stretching after our workouts helps our muscles feel more relaxed, recovered. And then that transition to recovery. So, if we're feeling tired after workouts, first important thing, rehydrate, have some water or an electrolyte beverage, such as Gatorade, things like that. Also having a balanced meal, depending appetite, having something to eat, getting something into your system. After my workouts, my difficult ones, I like chocolate milk. It's something I enjoy, helps me recover as well. And mention the rest days as well. And then also soreness versus pain. Soreness is common, especially when beginning a new routine, but it's different than pain. Pain, being a higher level, and pain means stop. So resting till you feel better. Soreness also means listen to your body, but it's more quickly. And then also just really taking the time to take care, be kind to yourself. So we're going to transition to questions now. So we'll have the chat window, and then I'll also set up for the brief HIIT workout. And so during this time as well, if you are wanting to do the workout, finding a space you can do it. So maybe that can be a carpet or on the floor. Or if you would like to do it sitting down, getting a chair or a textbook as well. So, okay, we're gonna move into the workout. And so it'll be a HIIT workout. We'll do a brief warm up first. So it'll be about 3 minutes, and then we'll move into the explanation of first the activities in the chair, and then I'll mention for those who, like myself, will be standing, I'll go through the first exercise and go through those as well. Cool. So the first thing we're going to do is just jogging in place. So we're just going to step, or if you're sitting, just moving your arms back and forth. And then we're going to go into high knees. So don't worry about going up too high, but just stepping up. And then we're going to go into butt kicks. So thinking about getting your heel back to your glutes. And now we're going to go into what I call arm circles. And so we're going to start with our wrists. And so we're going to just make circles first inward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now going from our elbows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now going from our shoulders. So it'll be full arm swings. We'll be making a circle, first forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And next we're going to go into leg swings. So you can either do them just standing in place. So it'll be swinging back, or if you want to put a hand up against the wall or other surface just to balance, and you'll just be swinging back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And moving to the left leg now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and crossing over. So now we're going to go in front of ourselves side to side with that leg, starting with the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and left leg. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now we're just going to do some side lunges. So the way these will work, you'll just start kind of on the side. You'll slide one leg over to the side and just stretching that back one, then stretching that leg back again, and then stretching over Back to the side again. Good. 1, and over, and over, and good, and over, and good. Now, final ones we'll just do with our arms. We're just going to cross over the front. So starting with one arm over top, I'm going to start with my right arm over top, and then switching. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cool. Good. All right, everyone warmed up. If you need to get a quick glass of water, feel free. I'm going to show the modifications first in a chair, and then we'll get into the main HIIT workout as well. So the HIIT workout for today will be a series of 4 exercises. And so it'll be 30 seconds on, 40 seconds rest. And so I'm going to show the first one from a chair. Standing, we'll be doing jumping jacks. But when we're if you want to sit, you can use your arms up over top. That'll be the first one. Second one would be standing as side skaters. But if you have a textbook, what you can do, or another weight, you can do what are called Russian twists. So you go over to the side, 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 and I'll show this again. And then the third one will be glute bridges when sitting, but standing you can do sit-ups. So you're going down to stretch, or if you want to add a little more difficulty, you can also use that on the side. And then the fourth one will be shoulder taps. But from sitting, you can go with a book, you can go up, back, up, down, and just going through that pattern that way. And so I'm going to pull out my timer to create the workout. And so if you're choosing to do this standing, it will be a jumping jacks to start. And so we'll be doing 3 rounds of 4 exercises, and I'll go through each of those with it. Cool. So you'll have 20 seconds before this. You'll hear the timer. It'll go 3, 2, 1. And then from there, it'll be a bell for both starting and stopping, and I'll demonstrate in between too. So 3, 2, 1, jumping. So jumping jacks, 1. And rest. And so the next, again, after this, if you're sitting, it'll be those twists. And if you're standing, we're going to do what are called side skaters. And so side skaters, you'll be hopping side to side like that, landing on one foot and switching. If that feels difficult, you can also just do a lunge like we did before. So again, with this, you're wanting technique. Don't worry about going as fast as you can. Go at a pace that feels comfortable for you. So 3, 2, 1. Doing great. Cool, rest. And so we're going to move into what are called glute bridges. And so glute bridges, you're gonna sit on your back. Almost like you were gonna do a sit-up. And so what you're gonna do, you're gonna raise from your hips. Hands, you can either put on your sides, or you can put on your on the ground as well, raising up. And if you're choosing to do this from a chair, again, it'll be that sit-up down. Ready, 3, 2, 1. Good. Next, we're going to move into what are called shoulder taps. So you'll get into like you were going to be in either a plank or push-up position. So the way you'll do that, you can get that thinking about making a straight line from your heels all the way up through your head, and then you'll be crossing arms over that way. Or if that feels difficult, you can either keep a plank or drop to your knees, crossing arms over to each shoulder, crossing over. Or if you're doing it in a chair, again, you're using the seat up that way. Good. Okay, that's one round done. We have 2 more to go. We're going to go back to jumping jacks. Okay. Next, we're going to go back to those side skaters. Again, that's the one we're hopping. Or if you're doing it sitting, that's you're doing the Russian twists. Again, over any course of this workout, if you're feeling too tired, exhausted, feel free to take a break, hop back in. You know, this is meant to be your time, so don't feel pressure if it becomes challenging at any point. If you're feeling too out of breath, just hop in, stop whenever works best for you. Okay, good. Now we're going to go back to those glute bridges. And it's one where we're sitting, hips up, or if you're in a chair, it's one like a sit up.
this point, we're halfway done. So you're doing great. Okay, next we're going to go back into those shoulder taps. So ones where like we're in a plank position, crossing our arms over our body, back onto our shoulder. Or if you're in the chair, again, that's going to be with that your weight out in front of you, back, up overhead, out and back. And begin. Great job. Moving into our last set here. Again, we're back to jumping jacks. And wait for the bell, and we'll begin. Thank you. Good. 3 exercises to go, and then we're finished. We're almost there. Doing great. So again, we're going to move back to the side skaters, hopping over, land on that outside leg, and hopping back. Or if you're also sitting, then you're doing those twists. Good. So now we're going to go back to those glute bridges. Again, raising from the hips, you feel that, and then just lowering straight back down. Or if you're sitting in your chair, again, it's bending over. Cool. Good. Very last exercise. Again, we're moving into the shoulder taps. So again, if you want to either do it from your knees, crossing over, or if you want to do it from that plank position. Again, the alternative from a chair, using the book, out. Don't lock the elbows, but just go out till you feel it, back in, and up overhead. Great job. That concludes the HIIT portion. We're going to do a quick stretch, and then we'll be all finished. So grab a quick drink if you need it. I'm going to grab one. If you're feeling out of breath, it means you worked hard. If you're feeling your heart racing, sweating, worked hard. So great job. You're feeling out of breath as well. One thing that can help to open up your lungs a little bit, you can either put your hands around your waist or alternatively back over your head. Just focusing on that breath. So I'm going to begin the stretch. If you feel ready to join me for the stretch, if you need to take a minute as well, feel free to hop in when you need to. So we're going to stretch down towards the ground. So thinking about keeping our feet together and just stretching straight down. When you stretch to the first point of tension. Don't try to go as far as you can. Just go till you begin to feel that stretch. And that over time, as you continue to develop your flexibility, you'll be able to go a bit further. Okay. Now what you'll do next is spreading your feet apart. And then I'll just angle here. Spreading feet apart and then stretching towards one side. Whichever you choose, we'll alternate after. Again, thinking about that knee, just have a slight bend. You don't want it to be fully locked. You don't want to put extra pressure on that knee. Stretching towards that side. And switch. And within these stretches, we'll do them a little quicker. I recommend about between 20 to 30 seconds per stretch. It's good to help loosen up those muscles, especially as they begin to tighten up after we work out. And so the next we'll do flamingos. So you'll raise up that leg. You could also do it on the wall as well, whatever feels more comfortable for you, but beginning to stretch. And switch. Cool. You can remain standing. I'm going to drop down to show it, but we'll do arm crosses. So you're going to cross one arm across your body. Your other hand, you're going to put just above your elbow. And switch. Now continuing to work our arm, we're going to go up over top. And so what you're going to do is think about driving your hand down your spine. So it looks like that from the side. Just to the first point of tension. And switch. Now sitting down, we're gonna slide our feet straight out in front of us, stretching down towards our feet. Now we're gonna do what's called a Penn State. You're gonna cross one leg over the other. And you can either hold just below that knee, pull that in. You should feel that stretch right along the outside of your thigh up towards your hip. If you want a little extra rotation, you can also slide a hand behind you and look over your shoulder. And switch. So bring in that other leg over top. Now we're going to go into our final stretch. So bring in the soles of your feet together for a butterfly. And you're going to be sliding your elbows right onto your calf muscle, like right here. And during this last stretch, also take a moment to express gratitude to your body. Think of appreciation for your body's ability to help you through this workout. Express, think gratitude towards this time of being able to have this workout as well. All right. Thank you all for participating in this workout for today. If you're feeling any sort of soreness the next day, it's normal. Recommend if you're feeling high levels of soreness, maybe take time to just ice your legs and muscles, and wish you the best through the rest of this semester with Wesleyan and in all of your future physical activity and wellness journey.
Hey, Chris. So at this time, we actually don't have any questions, but I did want to do, if anybody is interested in the PowerPoint that you created or the handout that we created with the resources, if you want to type in your email address, we can send that directly to you. This was recorded, and once we have it formatted correctly, we'll have it available on our website, and that's at the CAPS, the Wesleyan CAPS website. And if you click onto the CAPS at Home, you will find a variety of resources that we've been creating while we've been all working from home. And so you can check out not only this presentation, but actually a couple of videos and a couple of different graphics that we have with information. So thank you so much for being a part of this. And in the group chat as well is a link to our survey. So if you can provide some feedback, we really appreciate it so that we know how we can improve and make enhance our presentations. So thank you so much. I apologize for the little bit behind, but we wanted to make sure you got in that extra set in there before we left. Do you have anything left to say, Chris or Dr. K? Okay, thank you so much for being a part of this.